Well, it's spring break. Some first-year college kids drink, some go on panty raids. Me, I'm reviewing new albums on the internet. This is the good life, people. Take it in. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Spinner Reviews, and today I'm going to be talking about the new album from Fences called Lesser Oceans. So Fences is a band or solo project, it's honestly kind of hard to tell. I'm from Seattle. Now last year you might have heard their collab song with Macklemore and Ryan Lewis called Arrows, and no, this isn't just some indie kid who happened to get lucky with his features in 2014. The frontman Chris Mansfield, seen here with face tattoos, has actually been working with Macklemore since before he got famous. Writing and singing on Other Side, and co-writing the heist opener 10,000 Hours, whose chorus was actually also sung by the bassist of Fences, Lindsay Starr. And even though I do know they put out an album in 2010 that was actually produced by Sarah Quinn from Tegan and Sarah of all people, Arrows was definitely my introduction to Fences, and it was a great one. Now, I can see the argument that the song is a little repetitive, but it's something that bothered me less and less the more I heard it. The lyrics have both guys talking in a pretty compelling way, although it's a little bit more with Macklemore, about basically dealing with people in their lives that are going against the art they're making. Fences with his dad, and Macklemore with the general public after he got famous. But enough about that. How's the rest of Lesser Oceans? Well, honestly, it's kinda hard to answer. See, my opinion of this thing kind of fluctuated every couple listens. At first I thought it was nice, and there were some catchy tunes, and it was definitely closer to how I'm feeling now. After that though, I started to sour on it a bit, but once I accepted that not every song on the album was going to be quite as dynamic or multifaceted or ambitious, and more just focus on writing good, simple, catchy, electronically tinged pop rock songs, the album as a whole became a lot easier to take in, even if I do still think that Arrows is by far the biggest highlight. Though a close second would be Sunburns, going along with the whole star power thing, one of two songs here co-written with Chris Walla from Death Cab for Cutie, and this one also being produced by him. And it actually kind of has a Death Cab feel when it goes into the bright indie rock chorus, which contrasts nicely with the darker verses, detailing a classic case of unrequited love. In fact, a lot of the songs here do deal with ups and downs of relationships, though with a sort of uplifting feel throughout. The song Songs About Angels really says it all to open the album, talking about Chris taking these negative experiences and channeling them to write these very positively leaning songs. The song The Lake is probably the closest to straight up synth pop this album gets, and features one of the catchier choruses on this thing, and while I can see it as a little typical as far as songs about regretting being neglectful in a relationship, I think it's the little details here and there that make it work, specifically the titular setting that's used in the chorus. One writing trait I'm really loving on this album is the male-female vocal dynamic that can crop up sometimes between Chris and Lindsay. Sometimes it is just kind of used as backing vocals, but there are a couple tracks here that just feel like straight-up duets, which I'm really enjoying. It's the kind of thing that I wish more indie pop acts with female backing vocalists would do more. Like I'm catching a real of Monsters and Men feel on the track My Mountain is Cold, with the vast and kind of folksy vibe, and the moody lyrics that focus mostly on the evocative imagery of it all. Or on the title track Lesser Oceans, a very autobiographical picture of Chris as a struggling singer-songwriter moving to a new area. Also, this song, along with Sunburns, really benefits from that more straightforward rock approach it takes. I'd really like to see more of that from Fences, since with Chris's fairly rough singing voice, it works really well for them, I gotta say. The last highlight I want to point out is Temple Dreaming, which ends the album on a just plain fun note. A simple, light-hearted love song that follows up on the promise of uplifting mentioned in the beginning of the album. Which is good, because I can't say that about all of this album. See, even though some of these songs do resolve themselves in a positive way, on multiple occasions the lyrics suffer when they're in more of that negative space. Case in point, Dusty Beds. Now, it's fine musically, but it's also whiny, catty, clumsily written, unclear about the situation going on in the relationship to sympathize with anyone, and manages to simultaneously be too vague and at times uncomfortably specific. It even applies a little on some of my favorite tracks here, even if it is a bit easier to overlook. Like when he uses curse words to fill up space on a couple tracks, or even on Arrows when he says multiple times that his dad doesn't own him, like he's some 13-year-old that just got grounded or something. The other real dud for me is Running Off the Gods, a token, stripped-back acoustic track that somehow at just 2 minutes feels too long, with the last 40 seconds being devoted to this boring keyboard drone. I don't know, maybe it could have been redeemable if it was more fleshed out by a minute or two, but as is, it just feels like unfinished album filler, which is not a good thing if your album is 10 tracks and 33 minutes long. Still though, while I can't say I love Lesser Oceans, or that the rest of it really lived up to Arrows in my mind with the possible exception of Sunburns, it's still a pretty enjoyable pop rock album, and I'm going to give it a 7. As long as you go in not really expecting anything amazingly special, or somehow aren't interested in anything else within this mountainous cacophony that is album releases in March 2015, then yeah, go ahead and give this a shot. So yeah, if any of you guys have heard this album, what do you think about it? Do you agree with what I had to say? Disagree? Have any feedback about the channel in general? Let me know in the comments down below. Share this around with anyone who might be interested. Like the Facebook page in the description for updates, and hopefully I'll see you in the next episode of Spin It Reviews. Okay, so I was writing this review and a frankly terrifying thought came to me. So this guy, Fences, got big off of a collab song with Macklemore. So does that mean that I'll get, like, specific hate for talking about this before Kendrick? I guess we'll see. I'm preparing myself.